right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Inspiring Conversations. I'm Christine. I'm the administrative assistant for Jen Polson Consulting. I'm excited to be here chatting with somebody who has a pretty awesome name, if I do say so myself. This is Christine Marmoy. Christine, why don't you say hello and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for inviting me. A little bit about myself. I've been running my own business for 9 years. I started as a marketing consultant, working with women in business. Women in business for at least 10 years. Wanted to become international, global, and so forth. Then I accidentally stumbled upon the book business. I'm a book freak. I love that. But then, I heard a lot of things. The best way to get credibility, authority, and a bigger reach is to be published and so forth. So I got involved in a book myself many years ago. And because I come from a project management background, I realized it was not that difficult, at least to me, but I could have done a better job, kind of, in terms of organization. So I said, okay, it went into my head for 2 years, and 2 years later, I decided to launch my first anthology, which was Success in High Heels. It was a bit before Christmas, and I decided to try it on myself. The goal was, if that works, I can offer that tool to my clients, to my existing clients. So I could help them on the consulting side and then giving them the product to actually make it happen. And then it worked really well. We launched the book very fast. In 9 hours, it was a bestseller. And from there, the publishing side of my business took off. But then life is life. Everything evolves. And for those who listen, if they have a different calling, do not be scared to the transition, even if it's not comfortable, but just to really embrace the transition, because life is always there to teach us lessons. And so 2 years ago, when we moved to Mexico, I got sick, very sick. My son and I, my 6 years old at the time, and myself, and it turned out that we had allergies to a lot of things. So I went on to another mission, finding, reading, researching everything I could put my hands on to first find a way to make us feel better without having to take steroids, which we never did, and how to ensure we could eat normally, quote unquote, again. And so I didn't know what I was up to when I started that journey. Honestly, I didn't know. I was just like, and there must be something I can do. I refuse to believe that there's nothing I can do. And obviously, after many months, I realized the doctor could not help me, because the only solution she had, even though she's wonderful, was the steroids. So I was like, I'm on my own. And so that journey was not only a journey in terms of learning, so skills, learning knowledge and so forth, but it was also a journey into discovering myself a lot. So if all that had at least one benefit, was that one. I discovered myself, not that I didn't know myself before, but I discovered like another layer, and so that one, underneath. Yeah. But and through that discovery, of course, we got better and everything, and I'm sure we're going to get into that. But it changed everything in my life. It changed my life. It changed my business. So I'm still publishing books, but only on the health, around the health field, if I can say it this way. And but I launched something completely brand new based on everything that I've learned. And I studied, got a few more diplomas, like if I had not enough, but
just a few, no big deal.
Yeah. I need to get the knowledge, so might as well get the diploma that goes with it. And because initially it was just a research for myself, but then it became that people started coming to me with questions and everything. And so I didn't feel comfortable not having like the credential for it first, and then I needed to really make sure I knew what I was talking about. It was just like, you can't just read an article on Google and pretend to be an expert. It doesn't work. So that's why I went further, and then from one thing to the other, now I'm studying for my doctorate in holistic medicine, and I'm actually helping people going from detox to diagnosing and treating food intolerances. And but initially when I got into it, the first thing I said to the allergist, because she became a friend in the meanwhile, is that, wow, that, you know, the more I was researching, the more I was getting passionate about it. And I told her, well, if I was not that sick, it would be really interesting. And but I realized it was a great thing to be sick, because first of all, I would not have gotten involved into any of this if it was not because I was sick, or my son. But also because it gave me, you know, I come from a financial background. I was a project manager in banks. You know, I have an MBA, a license in economics. So nothing, science to me was just like not my thing at all, you know, at all. But then science today is quite different than what it was 30 years ago when I was in school, you know, at one point. But and I really discovered something that I enjoyed. Not everything. Like right now I have an anatomy class, it's just really not my thing. But, you know, detox was a lot better and toxicology was a lot better. But, you know, it's just that I realized that I could help a lot of people this way. So it changed everything for me, and I have a different life, a brand new life now.
Isn't it funny how times of crisis really like force you to become so introspective,
Yes.
and you just find out more about yourself and kind of your place in the world? I feel like, you know, you and I, obviously we both have the name Christine and we both are book nerds, but we also have that in common, the food intolerance, life-altering experience, you know, because I have two kids, two of my three kids have severe food intolerances, and you and I have talked about this before, but it really just changes everything. And you just kind of, you discover a lot about yourself and a lot about what you're willing to do in order to make life not just bearable, but enjoyable, you know, and finding out, I don't know, you just find out so much about yourself and about how you want to live. And then it changes your perspective in terms of everybody else too. Like you're saying, you just can't help but help the people around you. You know, you have that, I guess that just kind of goes out into the universe, and then people who need your help come to you. And I love that you're furthering your education so that you feel more qualified and able to branch out. So tell us about what you're working on right now in your field.
Well, we are about to launch a book that you're part of, What's Left to Eat. That is basically a special cookbook where we're going to share special recipes. And there are a lot of cookbooks out there, and especially allergy-free cookbooks. But what I found out is that you have books for gluten-free people, dairy-free people, or you have a book that says, you know, nut-free, gluten-free, soy-free, egg-free, everything free. Then when you open the book, you have one recipe, gluten-free, then the next one is egg-free, and so forth. But you never really find those recipes when there's more than 2 or 3 allergies, you know. That was a challenge. And when I was in the midst of trying to identify recipes that I could modify and make them safe for me and ensure that my 6-year-old would eat, well, I realized it was taking a lot of time and experiment in the kitchen.
Because we all know that you have to cater to the 6-year-old, because if the 6-year-old doesn't eat it, then what are they going to eat, you know?
Exactly.
What's left to eat?
Exactly. So that's when we were in the process of launching the other book, One Crazy Broccoli, and I got the idea of putting together, following the same concept, different people who have knowledge and who can share recipes with more than one allergen removed from the recipe, and at the same time use the book, because the book is really powerful. There's really nothing more powerful than a book in terms of having your message out there. And I wanted to use the book also as a catalyst to show people that I get it. You're going to go through different phases, and it's just not the food. You have to learn how to cook differently, yes, but this is what's going to happen as well. The depression you're going to go through, because I went through that. You know, I lost appetite. You don't want to sit down at the table.
Yeah. So
to reconcile them with the fact of enjoying food, reconciling them with the kitchen. The kitchen is not taboo. It's a laboratory. If you say it differently and you try different things and you try to make it fun, well, it's a different perspective. And also how socially it affects us, but it does not make us unsocial. It doesn't have to happen that way. It did in the beginning, especially I'm in Mexico. Believe me, there's not that many places where you can eat gluten-free.
Yeah.
But you know, I had to find ways. Well, you know, and I became creative, inventive, and I realized that people were actually quite easy to work with, and were getting out of their way to make me, happy, kind of. So that's also the messages that I want to convey to the book, is that it's going to change your life regardless if you want it or not. But you can rediscover a new way of living your life, or you're just going to be bummed and depressed. But, at one point, you're going to have to feed the machine anyway. So
Right.
it's food at the hospital, or it's the food in your kitchen. But that's also something I want to share with people. And also in the book, we give them different charts of conversion, okay, you can't eat almond flour, but you can replace it by this and this and that. Different combination that sometimes is hard to find. Also, reading the labels, that's a big deal when you're allergic.
Yes.
Gluten is labeled in so many different ways that you almost need to have follow the chemistry class to be able to read the label.
For sure. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So that's what we're going to share in the book, not just the recipe. 2/3 will be recipes, but also 1/3 will be a bit of my story and how I got there. So to try to inspire people that there's always a way out. And, from a mindset perspective, and to rediscovering how to use the kitchen and discovering different ingredients, new ingredients, opens up the door on a brand new world of creativity. This is something I realized. It's just it's so easy to cook when you're allergic, actually, because everything can be swappable. And since you focus on what I can use and what I cannot, well, once you know what you can replace it by, what ingredient you can replace it by, well, it becomes, quite fun. I can't eat peanut butter. I tried everything peanut butter based, and I replaced it with sunflower butter.
Yes.
It works just the same.
Yeah.
It's just that people don't always think about those possibilities. Of course, that one is a given. It's an easy one. But there are more complex ones, but they aren't difficult to use. And of course, it takes a bit of practice. But the same way that when you want to cook traditional cuisine, you're going to open a cookbook. It's going to take a bit of practice sometimes to get it right. Because the altitude, the dryness, or the humidity in the air, the oven is not the same than the person in the book, and so forth. So the game is the same. It's just different ingredients. So it's quite liberative, actually. I discovered something brand new.
Yeah, well, and what I love about this book that you're putting out too is it's not just recipes from you. You're collaborating with a lot of people who have different backgrounds in this and different experiences, and they've kind of all been through the same thing to a degree. They all have had to rediscover their place in the kitchen and how to feed their families and nourish their families. Not just feed them, but nourish them, make it enjoyable. So I love that you're just bringing together all sorts of people and
international.
Yes.
Because, food allergies or intolerances are universal, unfortunately, but we all need to eat. But we eat different things, like we discussed before. We eat different flavors, different spice, and the way we're going to cook is different from me, with all my background, somebody in the UK, in the US, or in the Middle East. So that's why we gathered a full-on panel of people from the UK, Ireland, Spain. We have people in Mexico, we have people in Chile, Canada, different states in the US, Australia, and the Middle East. We even have 2 countries in the Middle East. So it's really going to give us different flavors. So I also wanted to gather people from different culture, obviously, but also to demonstrate to people that it's not because you're allergic that you're going to eat something that is dull. You can have, you can spice it up, and you can really eat different kind of cuisine while being safe.
Yes. Well, and I love the idea of substitutions too, because I know for me, when I had to go through allergy elimination trials for Eliza, for my youngest, if I was craving Thai food, for example, I knew I couldn't do soy sauce because it has soy and wheat in it. But no one told me about coconut aminos, for example, that you can substitute. So I love having that idea of the list of, all hope is not lost. You can still eat something that you love. But here's some ideas on how to make it, applicable to you.
Exactly. So, and we are at the point now in my house that because, I have Matisse who is allergic like me, but I have 2 other ones in my home and my husband. But now we're at the point that they're eating my snacks. I have a dehydrator, nitrate dehydrator.
Yes.
And I used to make different things, and it lasted, like for a month just for me because Matisse doesn't even eat them. But now it doesn't even last 2 weeks because it's just like they eat them too. But I'd rather have them eat them because, it's all organic and all healthy, so it's better. But it's at the point that now they tell me, well, do this too the way you do it for you because we like it too. So it's even easier. So the switch went the other way around.
Yeah, well, real food is delicious. They're just figuring it out. Well, that's awesome. Well, what encouragement would you give to people who are, this is a twofold question, but to people who are kind of in the same situation and finding out food intolerances or restrictions, like what would you say to encourage them? But then also, what would you say to encourage people who are kind of finding new dreams and new passions in life and how to pursue those? So I guess, do this part first, the food allergy part first, and then finding passions.
So people who know that they're allergic, so the testing has already been done, and they're just like, okay, I can't eat this and this and this, but they don't know what to do. Okay, so the first thing is that depends on the person. I'm a strong-willed person, so I can have everything I can't touch in my house. I won't touch it. Mm-hmm. But and there's nothing wrong in that. If you know you're going to be tempted, so don't bring it in your house. Remove everything that is a temptation for you, and because it's not like you're trying to lose weight and you're going to go for the chocolate. No, we're talking about something that's going to harm you because it's going to create an inflammation in your body. So it's quite important. So remove the item, especially in the beginning. Then work with somebody who is able to give you those, unless you want to work by yourself and research everything. There are conversion of many things in terms of cravings that you can replace with safe ingredients. If you're on the gluten-free spectrum, well, there are a lot of things now that exist gluten-free. It's almost, somebody who's gluten-free only can mostly eat like a normal person right now. So there are a lot of things that existed. Talk to your to people working at Whole Food or the health store in your area because they know quite a bit. When they are well trained, they can help you and give you some conversion. Dietitians, I've tried that road. Nutritionists, dietitian, they didn't know. They couldn't help me. But that doesn't mean they don't exist. So if you know somebody tells you, I've seen that person, whatever, go see that person. It's worth it. It's going to shortcut the learning curve, and it's going to make you feel better a lot faster. Mm-hmm. Having an allergy and an intolerance, that means that your body reacts to something you put into your body. Doesn't mean that you are any less good than anybody else. It's just that the body reacts a certain way. Now, there are things that can be done, and that is something I would recommend to everybody is take vitamin D, a dosage higher than what it's supposed to be, because it affects the immune system. It affects the mental, the brain, and the mind. If you're allergic to gluten, you're going to have brain fog and so forth. So vitamin D is going to help you. Then vitamin C. High level of vitamin C. I take, for example, 12 grams. Matisse, who's 7 years old, takes 5 grams. So you take it 3 times a day, not 12 grams 3 times a day. The dosage, you break it down 3 times a day because it's water soluble. That means that the body does not retain it, but it fights. It helps the body fight for the right reason, and also it helps with inflammation. Now you need to determine your own tolerance, so that you have to build it up 1 gram at a time. The dosage maximum is when you get a watery bowel movement. That's your body saying that's enough, and so your requirement is 1 gram under, and it will change because when you feel better, you need less. When you feel, and you'll know because you take 10 grams and suddenly 3 weeks, 6 weeks later, you get a watery bowel movement. You're like, what's wrong? Well, it's because now you can take less. Your body has already recovered a bit.
Oh, interesting.
And if you get sick again, it's going to need more, and you're going to feel it like, oh, I'm taking the vitamin C, and I'm still feeling a bit achy. Well, you take 1 gram more and 1 gram more until you reach again that bowel movement. movement. So that's the second thing. Then when we have food intolerances, we have leaky gut, or we have digestive issues, even if it doesn't go to leaky gut. So slippery elm is really a good thing to take, either lozenges that you can swallow, like a candy, or tea.
Yes, slippery elm and tea is really good, actually.
Very good.
Yeah.
And DGL as well for the stomach, for the lining. The DGL, not the licorice, the DGL. So if there's people have a high pressure issue, it's not going to be a problem. And those I have them into small caps to swallow, or even as pills to chew on. They're very good. So that's what I would recommend, and it's not going to hurt anybody. Even if you have no intolerances, it's not going to hurt you. So that's something I would say. But then research and see, what do you like? Make a list of what you like.
Yes.
Because it doesn't, this is something a nutritionist told me, you have to force your son to eat this. And I was like, this is pointless.
Yes.
The only way I can make him eat is to find a safe way to serve him what he eats already, but in a safe manner. And it was a winner. But it's the same for adults. There's no point forcing you to eat broccoli if you don't like broccoli, because you're going to be even more miserable. So make a list of what you like, and then what is on the safe side, circle in green. What is on the dangerous side, in red. Okay, now next to it, what can you replace it with? If it's gluten, you have a long list. If it's nuts, seeds can be a good bet, because usually people aren't allergic to seed, even though they're allergic to nuts. But if you are, maybe it's one family and not the other. If you are allergic to tomatoes, eggplants, potatoes, and so forth, maybe you're allergic to nightshade. So that would be one to remove. And then what can you replace it with? What are the main vegetables that you still can have like a few different colors and that you really like? Now you can use those one, not always at the same time all together. Just try to vary it, and have like a circle on the week, and use spice to make it, different tastes. You can have curry, curcuma, which they are quite similar, but you can use cilantro, cumin. There are a lot of spices that exist out there that can really change your meal completely. And the same thing with soup. You can use soup and do different vegetables that the one that you can, and add different spice, so it will have a different taste. I follow I have a very ketogenic way of living and eating. And it really helps with allergies, and especially the gut.
Will you explain that for our listeners, what a ketogenic way is?
We call that a ketogenic diet, but I don't like the term diet. It's just doesn't do it to me.
It has a very negative connotation, yes.
Yeah. So I like to say it's a ketogenic way of eating, because it can be applied to paleo. This is what I do with my clients. It can be applied to paleo, it can be applied to vegan, it can be applied to raw people. And honestly, I do not believe that everybody should eat raw, because we're not meant, all of us, to eat raw. And I know that because I was raw and I was vegan, and it got me sick. So there are different things I can answer. That's why I came up with the keto way, but for those different way of eating, different vegan, raw, and paleo, because those three can be good, excellent for certain people, and detrimental for others. But the ketogenic way is across the board. And basically what it is a high fat, but good fat. This is a distinction. It's not McDonald's fried fat, kind of,
French fries.
Yeah, that's not that one got us where we are right now.
Yes.
The coconut oil, olive oil, this kind of good oil. But I like the coconut oil a lot better, and it really does help with allergies and intolerances and for the gut, better than olive oil. And I'm from the Mediterranean, so I know the olive oil has always been part of my life, but coconut is better, especially if you cook. Now, high fat, moderate protein, and protein can be meat for keto, for a paleo person. It can be nuts, tofu, and so forth for a vegan or a raw person. And you have protein also in seaweed, and these kind of things. So protein is across the board. The ratio can be the same regardless of what kind of diet you follow. But that's what I realized works really, really good for me. First of all, on the gut, on the brain fog, for the craving, there's nothing better. And I had realized that a few years ago when I had another MS flare. I had researched also, everything. That's when I started the raw thingy. That led me to the allergies, but it's okay. But I had realized that actually the good fat and the protein were a lot better to me than the carbs and all that. So I had reached that level without knowing it was called ketogenic. It's just like not long ago, a few months ago, that I again met somebody, and when he explained to me, and I was like, wait a minute, this is exactly how I eat, but I didn't know it was that. But so that's what I work with my clients. This is what I recommend them, and that everybody can do. Now you can. I don't use calories. I don't use macro. I know all nutrition is all about this, and I study them too. But it's just like, honestly, I yet to see it work.
Yeah.
It works for certain people in certain circumstances, but not across the board. And to me, if you eat keto that way, by default, you have the right macro for your type.
Right.
So maybe you can do it just to have an idea where you stand, more or less. But then if you ask me to cook special and then measure everything, I am just going to deserve that cake. So it has to be fair to me. And calculating math has never been my strong thing. So I'm not playing that game. I did calculate my macro, and I do calculate it for my clients. And I also calculate the BMI and everything because I'm also a personal trainer. But I do not use it as okay, that many chicken or this many broccoli or that gram, and I don't do that because I know my clients won't follow it anyway, so it's going to be so I have another way of checking it out. And, to me, the results of the body are a lot stronger and appealing than just the numbers on the chart, but that is my opinion.
Right. Well, and you have to be able to maintain joy in what you're doing. And I feel like anytime I've even thought about doing some sort of a diet where you have to, count everything and measure everything. I mean, number one, who has time for that kind of thing? And then also it and this is not true for everyone. Some people do enjoy that type of, but I know for me personally, it kind of takes the joy out of cooking and it makes it more stressful. And so I like that approach, that ketogenic way of life. So I was going to say, what encouragement would you give to people then who are kind of discovering their passions and wanting to go and do something else? What would you suggest for them?
Well, to me, nothing can work if you do it without passion. When I was working fully on the consulting marketing side, and even for the book, I had people coming to me, tell me what we should write about that can sell. And I've refused clients. I got some clients upset because I refused them because it won't work. That's the wrong reason. It's what would I like to do? What am I passionate about that I can't stop sharing, talking about? And then find the right crowd who is just as passionate as you. That's where the equation is. It's not what is going to bring me money, because if money is so write about money, go work in a bank or something, that it's just going to be about money. But money to me is a consequence, and it's a positive consequence of passion mixed with creativity. It will come. But it requires hard work, the hard work, energy, vision, courage, a lot of courage. And never give up when you feel like giving up, because usually when you feel like giving up, I call that the big tsunami. We'll go through the big tsunami. And then it means that big tsunami means that something fantastic is about to happen. But you need to deserve it. And to deserve it, you need to go all the way. And so, passion, creativity, and vision and all that does not mean that it's going to be easy. But when you do what you love, it's a lot easier.
Yes, it's more fun. Yeah, for sure.
So work that is when it's not work anymore. It's just like somebody who loves riding a horse, whatever. You don't see the time goes by. You have to go, and you're just like, oh wow, I just got there. It's the same thing when you love what you do. Sometimes I'm researching something. It's the end of the day. I'm like, what? It's 6. I feel like I've been working for 2 hours, not even. So, but this is what it is when you are passionate. Then you're passionate and you still get tired. And when you get tired, you're like, oh yeah, that was not the true passion, because it happens to me too, and many people I know. And so find that's when the big why comes into play, the drive. And to me, my big drive is my big why is my son. You know, I just have to look at him and say, come on, he's 7. You can't just eat sandwich, you know, gluten-free sandwich all day, every day, for the rest of his life. So, you know, and especially when he has a bit of a crisis because of the pickup pollution or whatever, and I see his eyes, I'm like, oh, believe me, it puts me back right on track. But that's my big why. Then my drive is because I receive a lot of information from different venues, you know, of kids, the cancer, this, that. I mean, I receive them all. And a lot of people are contacting me, you know, because they want to know, do you know somebody who can do this? Like lately, somebody asked me, where can I buy cannabis oil? And I was like, well, tell me if you know, because I'd like to know also. So I don't have all the answers, but you know, it's just, and it was for a very good reason. I mean, you know, the grandpa was sick, whatever. I mean, it's not somebody who was just like, you know, can I get marijuana? It was really for a good reason. Right. But when I get all these and I check all that and I read those articles, whatever, and I have those people coming to me, it is my drive, because I'm always like, we need more doctors like this. We need more people who know what to do, and we really so it puts me back on track. Even if I felt tired and I felt like, oh my gosh, I have 3 years of study and I have clients but I just, you know, and every time the universe serves it to me. Every time I have like a message on Facebook, somebody asking me something, or in my feed, I have you know, an article, or a friend of mine sends me an article. My husband even does it, sends me an article. Have you read that? Did you know about this? It's always, you know, on the money. And I read this, or I look at that video, or I read the question of the person. It just, yeah, Christine, you can't give up. It's 3 years of heavy study, yes, but you know, it's only 3 years and you love it. So go for a walk, you know, go on the treadmill, run a bit, because I can't run in Mexico, get asthma, but you know, and go back to your study and just do it. That's how, you know, that's the way I do it. We all have different ways, but it's always a why and a drive. Mm-hmm. And when you're passionate, identify those points, those triggers, and make sure that you see them. It's, you know, I have boards everywhere, that you see them all the time on your phone, your computer, on the walls, that you receive automatic feed of articles that are going to be interesting in your field. Make sure that you nurture that passion, because we are human, and yes, we get tired. Sleep enough, because somebody who doesn't sleep enough is going to be tired. Somebody's going to be tired, is going to be depressed. And so nothing gets done. So you feel like you're useless. So yeah, there are a few things that, you know, we need to do to be at the optimum. You know, exercise a bit, move the machine. We have to move everything. So the oxygen goes everywhere through the body and through the brain. And so again, we don't feel like depressed.
Right. Well, I love how you said that money is a consequence of your drive and your passion, because I think that's so true. Is when we are motivated by the things that make us happy, then naturally, you know, a lot of times it will work out if you keep pushing and you keep going. And I love that. And
the momentum.
Yes.
That's when the momentum, it takes time to get that momentum going. It takes a lot of work. But once that momentum goes, it goes and goes. Then you have to keep that momentum. You can't just say, oh, it goes too fast. Oh my gosh, I'm scared. Too many clients. I don't know what to do. You have to really nurture that momentum so it doesn't stop.
Right.
Because if you fear that momentum, it's going to stop. And then guess what? You have to restart everything, and it takes time.
Yes.
A lot of work.
No, that's great advice. Thank you. So tell us, how can people keep in touch with you, or follow you, or work with you? What are some ways that people can connect with you?
Okay, so the best way to get in touch with me is actually through Messenger, Facebook Messenger, on my personal name, Christine Marmoy. That's a lot easier. Usually this is how people get in touch with me. By email at info@roymormag.com. Okay. They can also reach me on the facebook.com RoyMom page, you know, by sending me a message there. I take care of that page personally, so I get all those messages.
Which Facebook page is that one again?
It's facebook.com/raw mom.
Raw mom. Okay.
It's raw mom because initially it was raw mom, and raw and more is just a happy accident. I never meant it to. It never occurred to me it would become a business, because initially I created that because my friends were asking me my recipes because I was sending them pictures.
Right.
And so we created the blog, which is a website now. The logo, it's my daughter who created that with my graphic designer as a surprise for me. And so when I moved to Mexico, I decided to create a Facebook page because, like I said, all my clients reach me on Facebook. So it was a lot easier for me than just go to the blog, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And so like 6 months down the line, so after June, 6 months after that, we had already 17,000 people. It went viral. I didn't expect that. And then it evolved into different things, but now we're almost 49,000 almost. So yeah, it's, but initially it was raw mom. That was the thing. But then raw mom, we couldn't use it because I didn't want people to believe that I was only about mom. Mm. So that's why we changed it for raw and more because it's more than raw. It's more than woman. It's more than just food. It's all inclusive to me. It's the body, the mind, and what we do with the body, what we eat, how we feed the mind, and how we move the machine. All that is works together in synergy to get osmosis. Because otherwise, if you forget to move the body, you're still gonna have joint pain and everything. If you don't eat right, you're gonna clog the machine. And if you feel crappy, you think crappy thoughts, well, you're going to be depressed all the time, and nothing great is going to happen to you. So that's why we can't just work on one level and not the other. It's everything. It's the same way when I work on detox with people. I always tell them you have to detox there too, because otherwise there's no way. Why will we clean your gallbladder if you keep clogging it with what you think up there? Mm-hmm. So, so I have different techniques that I work with people, and actually usually people are surprised because just give me some herbs to drink, but yeah, they are herbs, but that's not the only thing.
Yeah, we're whole beings. There's so many levels for sure. Yeah. Well, tell us when your newest book, What's Left to Eat, when is that supposed to launch?
Okay, so this one is supposed to launch on the 21st of March. The timeline is fine. We should be able to meet that deadline. I never know until the day that it happens, but normally on the 21st of March, it will be available on all Amazons. Canada, UK, the States, Australia, all of them.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Christine. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us and to share your story. I hope that there will be some people that are listening that can be inspired by your passion and by your story. So thank you so much for taking this time.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.